By a masig amiti, somebody that has a true and firm grasp over svaras, then the gefil svaras fil hacher und geschmack with the seichel svaras. He has a much deeper appreciation and a much greater delight in a svara that he has the clarity of feeling over the svara than even just something that he could explain intellectually alone. Asher al kain is bicholos bala saga weglegen the tiffen verstand sliber gefil. Therefore, he's ready to, so to speak, put aside a deep understanding for such a gefil, for such a grip. He's ready to sich übergeben for such a thing. Was der Eufen from the Mavekleg is, and what does it express itself? He's ready to set aside his deep intellectual understanding. Was macht von dem ganzen Verstand agaren auf Zmiche von der Hergish. The way he relates to the intellect and the explanations of this piece of information is that it's just, so to speak, a garin. It's a candle, it's a seed that's going to help plant ultimately the tree. But the tree is his true grasp of the hergish gefil, that he has this. It's hard to say just intuition, this grasp. But the hergish verbind im mit dem etzem nekudas haskala. At which point he feels that at that point he really connects with the etzem of the haskala. He feels that this is the way it is. But there can it kommen and can avert it to the extent that it can't even come down in words, nor in gefil, and that's why he settles for it, not because there's no deeper seichel. And not because he doesn't want to work himself hard to understand it. Because this is the max. Seichel can't explain it. He can just reach it with feeling, tapping that this is what it is. Gefil, says the Previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he prefaces. In general, emotion is a toyar, is a description word. In welchem bekent sich na zeir naren. One can be fooled very easily because it could be used for, that's what I kept on mentioning, that you shouldn't think it's like the regular emotion that we're discussing. Weil unser Armkeit in Erklärungswerte, we're very poor in descriptive words. Is so groß, it's so great our poverty, as wir müssen sich benutzen mit einem von demselben Ausdruck in verschiedenen Momenten. We're forced to borrow the same term for various circumstances which don't totally fit these words. In these moments of nefesh shining and strichen, these strahlen, these rays of moment of the soul understanding and epiphanies, such moments of shining, we're forced to use to describe that words that we would use for random things, random. Or on a so schwach as unser haskala hakara, it's also due to the lack of our deep intellectual understanding of things and our recognition of deep concepts. As a stert eine die zweite, it bothers one the other. Und man darf haben eine starke Seichel Anstrengung auf zu begrenzen jeder Wort. And therefore we can't just take the word for it. It's also our limitation. We can't just take the word for it and figure it out on our own. We have to point out that this word, even though we're using it in this context, that's not really what it's expressing. In sein richtig and klaren Sinn. To limit it, that it's not in its full, purest form what it's expressing over here. So let me say it even clearer. In jeder toyer, in every description, is for a moment welches mernit via toyer mushal. As much as you describe something, you're going to reach a point in which it's a borrowed description. It's not really essentially describing this. Unitkin toyer atzmi. It's not the essential description. You're not mamish talking specifically using words that are tailored only to this reality. Aber in toyer atzmi is faran whereas mernitam via mesharas. When you're dealing with the essential description of something, description bechlal becomes superficial, becomes, so to speak, a levush mesharas is a garb that's just serving the real cause itself, because it's higher than words. Das heißt, a levush to the koyach was tut sich an. It's sachakol, a garb to the koyach that's invested in the inyan that's being described. Und es fran der atzmi von him, and then there is the essence itself. And the Previous Lubavitcher Rebbe is going to break this down now. Sagt der Previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, "Und so is euch in dem teuer hergish gefil." Now he's taking this what the Previous Lubavitcher Rebbe was just describing and applying it to the concept being discussed over here, which is the teuer gefil, when a person is able to understand that's in a way that's beyond what can be explained in words, and it's only described through, he can't really describe it, he can just feel that that emotional clarity. he says this applies as this Fran Vier's a Toyer Mushal. There is the way this description is just borrowed to try to explain us this concept. On Vier's an Atzmi, and there is the way the essence is Azoy. In their Atzmi Gufa is Fran Vier's Alavush. He says now he takes it a step beyond and a notch higher. In the essence itself, there is the way it's a lavush, the way it's lending itself to be perceived by others, therefore it's called like a garment. Un Vier is an atzmi, and the way the seichel is, or the way the metzias is for on its own, for itself, not to be perceived or understood or grasped by others. Lamashal, Merzagan Akarper Gefil, he says, there is a feeling, a physical feeling. There is a midas gefil, there's an emotional feeling, a virtue, you could have a virtue, a seichel gefil, intellectual gefil that you understand this is the way it should be and you feel that this is the way it is. And then there's a nefesh gefil. The soul feels that this is the right thing. The soul feels that this is the direction. So other mezagin a gefil in kerper, a gefil in midas, and a gefil in seichel. So before we were saying it's a bodily feeling, a soul feeling, or you could say it's a feeling that's able to be grasped, able to, like the klei kibul, it's able to be felt in seichel, in hergish, in the nefesh. The difference between these two is very apparent. The only division the zwei oizdrikin is for alman deitlich klar. Everyone can understand the difference. As when we're talking about midas gefil, when you say it's a virtue feeling, a feeling that you're able to grasp talent and an appreciation for that, is the gefil alavush hamashas to the midas. The feeling is just intermediate. It's a vessel to be able to serve the midah itself. It's a midah gefil. The gefil, or nefesh gefil. The nefesh is the prominent one here, and it's the gefil is there to be able to serve the nefesh. Und dieselbe in seichel and benefesh. Und as mezagna gefil in midas is der gefil melubash, der melubash, und die midas sein in the lebush hamashas and them gefil. He says the other way around. When you say a feeling that's able to be felt in the nefesh, so the nefesh is at that point servicing the gefil. So it's hard to even bring an example for things that are so reich and so edel, so dakostic. But let's say a svara in Torah, we could say, or a deher in Avos Hashem, or a deher in Chassidus, in Previous Torah, in what a neshama is, what a mitzvah is. So when we understand that the mitzvah, the deher itself is Avos Hashem as a mitzvah, so the nefesh gefil in that ava, the nefesh is just there to service this emotion. Had it not been just for this emotion, it was worth being born. So definitely the nefesh is, so to speak, serving the emotion. As opposed to when you say that the nefesh feel the gefil in nefesh, so the gefil is there to service the nefesh. The nefesh wants to perfect itself, and therefore the feeling is there to service it. Is der gefil der melubash on the midas and the levushim hamashars and them gefil. The midas are the levush that are masharas this feeling on the zelbes and seichel and nefesh. Basically, the feeling itself is the primary. The kalim are just a vessel towards it. So hasaga behelft sich mit Vosnar es is meglach zu machen klar und deutlich dem Verstand. Hasaga in general, grasping of an intellect, makes itself available to whatever it's able to hold on to, whatever it's able to get more clarity to. Das heißt, as nieder davar sichli was der Balasaga is reingetan in any which subject that the intellectual, the chacham places himself into, sucht alles seichel weg, and he finds all intellectual ways and banem again and take, so to speak, and dimensions of machen deitlicher dem Verstand to get more clarity on the subject. However, nitz ois als zu belachten dvar muskel. He tries to hold on to any parable, anything he ever learned, to try to enlighten him and get more to so to speak, shed light on the subject. As soll werden a seicheldike Körperschaft mit a deitlichen Gestalt. That this svara, so to speak, this dvar muskel should become a seicheldike, it should have, so to speak, an intellectual body and a clear form. It's able to get to know this svara. Lamashal, in dem Inyan, for example, in dem Inyan, was is der Chiluk zwischen der Gefühl and der Levush, zu der Gefühl is der Malubash. For example, the subject that we just finished discussing, that whether the feeling is a means to the nefesh, or the nefesh is a means to the feeling. Is the Zeir klar? This is clear. Aber der Bala Soga Amiti geht noch weiter. He's not ready to stop by just understanding this. He wants to connect with it. He wants it to be grasped by him, to feel the difference, to be able to differentiate and say, now this is where I'm at. That's where I'm at. So geht noch weiter in der Echalos von Gefühl. And he deepens his understanding in it. Vertschacht sich tief in der Chiluk von dem Eufen Gefühl in the Alafir Yanim. He wants to differentiate, again, scholastically, academically. He wants to push and understand, because he's a Balasaga. What take are the differences between these four types of gefühl? We said there's a nefesh gefühl, the soul feels. We said the guf feel, the guf feels. It's a bodily feel. There's a midas, an emotional feel. That means his virtues. He has there and a midah, and the seichel, intellectual feel. So he wants to understand in each one of these four, in which case the nefesh serves the hergish, or the hergish serves the nefesh. What would be the difference? So it's really eight different forms of emotion. It's when the gefühl is their lavush, when the emotion is just the garb. Based on klar the chilik zwischen die vier der Monte Yanim. He knows automatically the difference between these four things. Aber, because that's in our experience, that's what it is. The gefühl is sachakol lavush, to be able to connect, that the nefesh should be able to connect with. This is our experience. When we have a bodily experience, it's our body wants to experience it, and the what we feel, our sense of feel, is just servicing our body should be able to connect it, and same too with the nefesh. That's clear in all four instances. The neshama wants to have a feel in something. The neshama is the dominant one. He's the main player, and Aber when the gefühl is der malubash, when the feeling is der malubash, and the iker, kerpa, the midas, the seichel, and the levushim, and the, so to speak, the midas, seichel, and nefesh, they're just servicing. They're the garb. That means the iker is the hergish. So he wants to be able to connect with that. Is by der Verstand stellt sich up the seichel von Albash. At that point, the seichel can't understand it anymore with words. It's not something that can be intellectually explained. When it's not only it stops from trying to bring it down and enclose it in words. When it's verzweifelt. Sie dieselbe Unterschieden, welche sind da, wenn der Gefühl des Alavush am Schars ist da nicht gleich der Körper und der Midas Gefühl zum Seichel und Nefesh Gefühl. He's afraid to take it to the next level, to see taka whether also in these four instances the nefesh is able to be catering to this emotion, whether it's in the same way. Hagam als is doch der Lavush von Gefühl, even though it's all really talking about emotion. This is not discussing seichel. But von deswegen sind Fragen größere Gelukim von Körper und Midas-Gefühl bis Seichel und Nefesh-Gefühl. There's obviously tremendous differences and vast differences between the bodily and an emotional clarity and Gefühl than to Seichel when it's to intellectual, or on Nefesh, the soul feels. Is sie dieselbe Unterschiede in seinen Veran, so he stands back in awe whether these same differences apply when the nefesh itself is just servicing this emotion. Or zijn Frauen euch in the gefühl is nemmer lubash, und the kerper und mitte zijn de levushim. And so in der Havana von dem Inyan is Frauen a svara, welches mechayev as es is gleich. There is a svara that would tell us that seemingly they are the same, and also in their cases there are these differences. The difference between seichel, hergish, seichel midis, and guf, and But on a svara was mechayev was not gleich. That over here already, no, the gefühl is so high that everything is servicing it, so it stands above all of them equally. The gefühl that the nefesh, so to speak, becomes a servant to, and the midas and the seichel, so it stands all above, and there aren't the same differences that it's different in each one of these four. So he's unsure whether it's this way or the other. When you go through this, and you're trying to process, you will come to an understanding, says the Previous Rebbe, and he's taking us by the hand, that even in emotion there's a metzias and there's a mahus. There's the essence, the tzura, so to speak, and the objective, and then there is the reality of the feeling. But their metzias is their keper from the gefühl. The metzias that they actually feel, that emotion that's actually tangibly felt, that is the metzias. That's the body, so to speak, of the emotion. But in mahus, the mahus, what it's about and where it's directed, and what its nefesh, what its chayis is, that is the nefesh from the gefühl. Altos fran heinen gashmi heinen ruchni. He says, as a rule of thumb, anything that exists, sayin gashmi, sayin ruchni, is as zovias is nitaki and chumri on a nefesh achiyuni. Just like there's no physical without a soul that gives it vitality. I feel even the inanimate has a soul. In aruchni. So even ruchni, that means such an emotion also has what we refer to as a body. And not that it's not physical in any way, but biyachas to what the nefesh of that emotion is, the life force behind it, it's considered like a guf. Is in gefil, was is a koyach ruchni, oich da metzias on mehus. And therefore also in emotion there is which is a koyach ruchni, there's also the metzias, so to speak, the reality, the technical reality, and the mehus, its vitality, its essence. Now, tiefer vertrachten sich in them, when you go deeper and you delve deeper in this, you can reach even deeper. As es voran vier Behauptungen, there are four, so to speak, divisions and categories, lead categories. Was der Balasaga miti versteht sie in vier besondere Teilen. He understands it in four different ways, in four different categories, separations. Und teilt sie in zwei Hauptabteilungen. He separates it in two general divisions, but really each one has another two in it. What is it? Metzias and mahus. The general streak is there's the metzias, there's the reality, and then there's the mahus, there's the essence of an emotion. Sagt was jeder von die zwei wird euch geteilt in metzias and mahus. Each one of them has a subdivision. That means in the metzias, let's talk for a second what he's in the middle of describing. There is the feeling, so there's the body, so to speak, the metzias, the existence and the what's tangible about this emotion, that's the metzias. In that metzias itself, there's the mahus, there's the why it is that way, and the nefesh, the life force that's presenting it that way. And there is the metzias sheba metzias. This is the way it's felt specifically, and these are its limitations. And also in the mahus, when you're looking at the essence of the emotion and the life force behind it, so there's the metzias and mahus. This is the words that it's expressed in. This is why we understand and we grasp this emotion should be this way, and why it was created this way. And then there is mahus ha-mahus. There's la Hashem levada. There's the way it is in its purest form. Because I say darv zayin. I hope I'm not doing injustice by describing this. Metzias ha-mahus, sagt er, was jeder wird euch geteilt in metzias ha-mahus. Das heißt metzias ha-metzias, the reality of this existence of the metzias, or mahus of the metzias. And then there's metzias ha-mahus and mahus ha-mahus. This is explained in a maimer in Tafshin Yud Aleph, if I remember correctly. There's also a maimer in Tafshin Aleph that describes this in Tafshin. Was dann kommt zu der Balasaga, when he understands that there are these fine differences and levels within an emotion, that there's the metzias and there's the mahus and there's the mahus of the mahus, the metzias of the mahus. So, as in their metzias from their gefil, when we're talking about the existence of the emotion, of this gefil, of this emotional clarity, you could say levels. Aber in mahus from their gefil is nishayach zu kein dages. Well, that's like gilui atzmi. When we're talking about the essence, so to split it into that it also has a mahus, it's very hard to even talk about it. Why? Because be'etzem, a mahus of something is it's a flowing expression of what it really is and what it was intended to be by the Eibishter. It's a ruchnistic form. And therefore to differentiate in that is beyond words. But the word gilui atzmi, when you talk about gilui atzmi, which is an essential revelation, by a balasag a gewisse toyar, welch enthält in sich a gewissen besonderen Perek vom Verstand. When you talk about a gilui atzmi, an expression of the essence itself of whatever we're discussing, when you start using this terminology by a balasaga, you're moving into a new chapter. It's a whole different category. Der Wort batet for the balasag zeresach. This word holds, is loaded with a lot. Effen for him zwei Qualen for verstand. It opens two fountains of understanding. What is Gilu Bechlal? Revelation in the balasag is good, but can't was das mean. Balasag understands what means that something is revealed. Then on atzmi is for him koin begreiflich. When we're talking about the essence of something, this he could barely hold on to. Is as trokt rein sein Verstand in dem Sinn von Gilui Atzmi. So when he starts bringing in his thought process, what is a Gilui Atzmi? They seem to be an oxymoron. Two opposites. Stellt us immer allein anider of the Schwell was zwischen Asaga and Gefühl. At that point, when you start trying to understand what's Gilui Atzmi, he's standing on the threshold between Havana still and clarity of a Gefühl after you understand whatever your brain could grasp. When hyped on a begin from Hechel Hasaga to Hechel Hergish, at that point he's moving in from the chamber of Hasaga, of intellectual understanding, into the chamber of Hergish. At that moment from them Ibergein werd by the Bala Saga Batzeichen in drei Strichen. It's noted by the Bala Saga at that point when he's moving, he's passing that threshold. He marks it with three things stand out: Schweigen, Warten, and Hoffen. This is very deep. By silence, by waiting, and by hoping. Und das ist der Pirush V'Lichut Dum Yasila. Now the Pirush Rebbe is coming full circle to the beginning of the discussion in this Likut that we said the Lichut Dum Yasila. David HaMelech says to Eibishter that for you, silence is the praise. Even though he said earlier that Elacha Kabasa Adacha Kabasa Yavayu, that those that praise you, yeah. So it's not der Verbund durch, because why? Because it says der Verbund von Lecha mit Elikus, the Lecha, what's to you, that means the nefesh of a yid, to Elikus, that connection between our neshama and Elikus is not der Verbund durch Dumia. That's only through silence. That's where we're, like he said, hoping and silence and waiting. In Dumiya's Fran Gimmel Pirushim, there are these three Pirushim in Dumya. One is silence, one is waiting, and one is hope. Was does that in Gimmel and Yanim in their Gefil, that these are three prat and three details in that emotional connection between the Lecha and Elikus. That here that Friedrich Rebbe is now making practical everything we discussed. Because this is the deepest emotional connection that a Yid could have with the Eibishter. Was the erste Treppe Stika, the first step in this. It's not three different Pirushim as the Friedrich Rebbe is presenting it here. Rather, these are based on the Mefarshim on Tehillim, Lamed Zayin, Pasuk Zayin. There are three steps. The first step and the first stage is Shtika, silence. The Aroiz going from Seichel Dal Basha. What is this silence? This represents him leaving the efforts to try to enclose it in words of Seichel. He's silent. He steps back. The zweite Treppe is Hamtana. The second one is a waiting. Bengt und wart. He yearns and waits. Wart und hofft. And he's saying, and he waits and he hopes. That's a Gilui Atzmi. It's a deep yearning. But it's not even like he's doing something. He's able to do something about it. Because again, at that point, it's not, Seichel won't help you connect deeper. That Lecha to Elikus is just a waiting, making yourself there totally. And the Hergish of Gefühl, that clarity. Was das is their Atzmi von Hergish. This is the essence of Hergish, and that's what's being revealed. Avuer is Haftar of Hecher. What is he yearning towards? Yeah, that's when he's there. He has the essence. He always is yearning for deeper. He wants more. It's not like he has clarity. He has clarity on where he is and what he wants, and not to where he's getting. He's just yearning. Elikim B'tzion. Now he's going back to explain the rest of the pasuk there. That Elikim B'tzion, Tzion means the etzem neshama, the essence of the neshama. Elikim B'tzion means the elikus from the neshama. So the gedlichkeit of your neshama, that's the statement of the Baruch made. Elikim B'tzion, and for that level, for the elikus in the neshama to connect to the Eibishter loy dum yasehila. That only silence as we say. Und das ist Yadu as etzem neshama is nicht mislabish beguf. That's not mislabish bechlal. The essence of the neshama is not enclosed in our physicality and physical body. Das was sich mislabish in guf is not a ha'ara. What is in the guf is just a ha'ara, a glimmer from their neshama. The atom neshama bleibt l'mayla. The essence of neshama stays above and beyond. Wie steht in Medrash Chamisha Shemes Nikrula. It has 5 names. Nefesh Ruach Neshama Chai Yechida. Was die 5 madreges and 3 naran primim und Chai Yechida, which are makifim. It's split into 2. There's the Nefesh Ruach Neshama. Those are primim. Though they get enclosed within the body of the person when he's here in Olam Haza. And then there's Chai Yechida that stays makif. It does relate and it is unique to this person. It's his neshama. It's his Chai Yechida. However, it hovers over, so to speak. In Yechida, it's Angeruf and Tzion. That highest level in the neshama is called Tzion. Elakim b'Tzion. They're Elakus von the neshama. They're far verti madrega Angeruf and Yechida. Why Bechlal is this highest level in the neshama called Yechida? Because it's Balas is Mekabel from Yachid Baruch Hu. It's the counterpart of Yachid, the Eibush himself. Then he continued and he said, based on this, L'cha Yishuv Neder. The Odom said with complete certainty that to you the vow will be paid up. Das gate of the Yerid San Hashem will go. Which vow are we referring to? That as a Rabbi asked in the beginning of this Likut. He said the vow that the neshama took when it went down to the Yerid San Hashem will go. The Gemara Zog Mashminas Tzaddik Al Tirasha. It swears, takes an oath that it's going to be tzaddik, righteous, and not a rasha. But their nether Muslim Allah Tzon, everybody has to, by hook or by crook, bein beratzin, bein bal karchay, will have to pay up. Make it make sense that the neshama came down. 1 gilgul, 2 gilgul. Was of them is faran kama gilgulim, but the neshama comes up nachamal b'chtei to upsell them nether. It'll come and have to come again down to pay up this nether, and it's going to go till the end. The other says in certainty that it's going to be paid up. Faran atel mentioned b'chazag. There are people that say as iber fashidin asibus can say nit zayin v'im and darf to zayin. For this reason, that reason, I can't be exactly the way I should be, whether it's banageh to l'kvisit in l'teira, establishing a fixed time for teira, b'avodah or to daven b'avodah. And then for terutzim, you give random answers. Aber, and forget of the emes. We forget this l'chal yishol nether. We forget about the tzion, elikim tzion, the likus that's in the etzman neshama, and the way it connects to the Eibishter with l'chal dum yasilo. As kein zach vat nicht helfen. Their nether muslim soul. At the end of the day, this nether is going to have to be paid up. As chol sabayda is adecha kabasivo. However, the beginning of avodah begins with adecha. That means ad elecha. Until you kol basivo bringing them bintel flesh some shemat tefillah yizbarach. We are avodas to bring, so to speak, the sack of flesh, which is our physical body. Look at it from outside and say, listen, this is what we're working on, and bring that adecha till the Eibishter himself. Tefillah is his chabrus, his connection. Shemat tefillah, it means that kamei yizbarach is gol v'yidu as yadei the Previous Lubavitcher Rebbe will sein verbunden b'yichud gamar metelikus. The Eibishter is a shemat tefillah. He, so to speak, is the recipient of this connection, and knows and sees that every year the Previous Lubavitcher wants to be b'yichud gamar, completely unified with the Eibishter. Is that schos bringing a bit of flesh to shemat tefillah, the spal b'tzibur l'kveitim l'teira. Your starting point is to come daven b'tzibur and kaveh itim l'teira. And this will help the Elikim B'Tzin start shining and start the connection going. And the Eibishter knows that you're already b'yichud gamer, and that's where you want to be. On this the first time, and now we can understand that David Melch that sail to us as emes as l'chayshul nether. It's true that l'chayshul nether will be paid up. Other nether you do on the shvuah velchamen bashvert and neshamati tzaddik l'kaim teiro mitzvah musman l'kaim zayin. This oath that you took, you will have to fulfill. Do teiro mitzvahs, etc. Herzechain, was sagt, says the Friedrich Rebbe, turns to the people while they're praying. Listen to what he's saying. Ulachai yishol nether. Dem nether musman telling you'll have to pay up this vow. The nether bet that's all burn. Tzibaratz not tell you the Khalil Bal Karcha, whether from goodwill or not. As an Farana Zalcha Bachas Duchze, as they have Menis Vikum for Torah and Tefillah. There are people that think that they have stumbling blocks and things that get in the way of their service to the Eibishter and Torah and davening or Zalman Wissen, you should know. As Elikim B'Tzin, the Elkus was Yada and Hatan Zayin Neshama is their Koich Azoy Shtark. The power that each one is satiated and loaded with, the Elkus that he has in his Neshama, not only can it blow away all the Menis Vikum, but Welt Leben, Macht of Torah Mitzvahs, that the world, this physical life tries to cast a shadow on Torah Mitzvahs. Nor as Bekoyach Afilu Tzukum into their skashas from L'chadum Yatila. You have enough koyach in there to reach the highest levels, as we described, crossing the threshold and moving into the hergish gefil and connecting with the mahusa the Eibishter and being silent this l'chadum yatila level. Now das is a madrega gvoya and avoid. It's a very high madrega and avoid. And it tells on the shaykh to their avoid. Not everybody's shaykh. Akavan definitely not to start at that point. That's the beginning. Is the aschos avoid the dachka basir bringing them egin and basar to shemei tefillah. Lispal betzibur kaveh zaynitim l'Torah. Was das is the koishel bracha v'shefa rav gashmi v'ruchni. This is, so to speak, the koishel bracha that brings blessings or gashmi and ruchni. And it's important to point out that the Frierdiker Rebbe over here, the Frierdiker Rebbe is telling us here that it's not just important just to do davening and learning and bringing the bintel flesh to the Eibishter. When you know where it's headed, you know what your neshama is satiated with, and what type of levels be'etzim you're empowered to be able to reach, then even you're doing the technical part of the Avodas Hashem, and the first steps are a whole different level. This is small stuff, like what our neshama is shaykh to. Then a person puts himself in v'isidarf to zayin. The Frierdiker was mechanachas to Mesiras Nefesh, but the Mesiras Nefesh for the highest of levels, not just for the basic to cover the bare minimum. Chaim l'chaim.